Hello there, it's Carrie Rhodes here. Welcome back to my paper crafting YouTube channel. In today's video, I am going to be making two cards. One is a shape card, one's a shaker, but I'm only making one ink blended background to create them both. And I'm using some really cool new stamps and dies from Trinity Stamps. This is the So Stinkin' Thrilled stamp set. It has this giant balloon with word art inside, and there's a coordinating balloon die to cut it out, as well as the word thrilled that you can cut out each letter and paper piece over the top. There's also dies to cut out the other tiny little images in this set. It's super cool. So here I'm showing you an ink blended background I already made. I stamped the image with clear ink and embossed it with clear powder. I ink blended over the top with Distress Oxide inks and then colored each of the letters with a shimmer marker. I'm going to show you how I did this later on in the video, but I already had this made and I really wanted to turn it into some cards. So first thing I'm going to do is cut that balloon out of the card, and that is going to give me two pieces that I can use on two different cards. I love it. So I will make a shape card out of the one I just die cut out, and I'll save the other one for a window to create a shaker card. So let's jump into card number one. I'm taking that same balloon die and positioning it on a folded in half piece of cardstock so that the die is just above that fold. That's going to create a balloon shaped card. It's going to hinge at the top and open and close. This is very easy to do with lots of different dies. I'll glue that designed panel right on top. Okay, now we're going to add to this. I'm taking some rip and stick sheets, putting it on the back of some gold glitter cardstock, and then I'll die cut the word thrilled from this, and this is going to turn each of those letters into a sticker, so I don't have to worry about adding glue to them. It's so handy. I love doing this with die cuts. So then I can just easily stick them right down over the top of the one that's already stamped. It's so fun. And I love this look that you can really highlight a really focal point of this card in a different way other than just coloring it. It makes creating a stepped up version of this so easy to do. So I'm using liquid glue to attach this to my card base. And then I wanted to include the little string from this stamp set. So I'm going to emboss that with gold powder on white paper. So I just need some clear sticky ink. I'll stamp out that little tied string and then dip it into my gold powder and emboss that to melt that powder, and I'll get this nice raised up shiny image, which is exactly what I did for the balloon image but with clear powder. All right, so then I can die cut this out and I have this nice short string that's going to allow me to still fit this shape card into an A2 size envelope. So for the inside of this card, I'm bringing in the It's Time to Celebrate stamp set. It's also from the current birthday release that Trinity Stamps just came out with, where this balloon image was released. So it's got Happy Birthday to You and It's Time to Celebrate in it, and it's all word art. You can put all of them together, or you can stamp them separately and die cut them separately. So I'm going to use that to show you how I did my ink blending. I am taking Distress Oxide ink in mustard seed and going across the middle of this paper. The image has been stamped with clear ink and embossed with clear powder, so you can't really see it until the ink hits it, and actually that is going to resist the ink. So this is an important step in this ink blending process. Then where those inks overlap, that's where we're going to get our blended color. You can see the orange starting to appear now. And then at the bottom, I'm going to use Salty Ocean, and that will overlap with the yellow, giving me a nice green. I really love these three colors for ink blending, but really any inks that you have, whether it's dye-based ink or these oxide inks, you're going to be able to do this kind of technique. And if you have a smaller piece of paper, it's nice to use smaller blending brushes like I'm using here, but you can also use larger blending brushes if you're doing an entire panel like I did for the beginning of this video. So just use the tool that works best for the size of paper you have. Here's my shimmer pen. I'm going over each of those letters and it's oxidizing this ink. It's kind of changing the color of it a little bit, making it a little bit brighter, but also leaving behind the shimmer. So it is gorgeous, and of course it's one of those things you see better in real life than on the camera. So it's going to be nice and shimmery when it's turned in the light. Once that's dry, I'm taking the coordinating die, you can see it here, and cutting out that image. It is gorgeous. It totally matches the outside of the card, but it will be a nice little something to have on the inside to make the inside special too. So I'll glue that in place to finish off this card. Actually, just kidding, I am adding embellishments. So Trinity came out with these heart baubles that have a pearlized finish on them. And of course, in Trinity fashion, they have them in every color. Now, when you get your Trinity stamps embellishments, they're going to come in these little bags, and you'll have a box with them. So you can easily pour them into that box for storage. I like to use the Tidy Tray from Trinity Stamps. That way I have that spout to pour them in. It is so much easier than trying to do the bag directly into the box. Trust me, I've done it. So I just wanted to show you how I do it. And you can see I'm adding the green now. There's even the blue, and it is just a nice little added something around the edge for this card. So there is card number 1, my shape card. I think it turned out so good. I really love it. All right, so then we have our extra panel, the one we cut the balloon from. We're going to use that to create this shaker card. So first thing I wanted to do was add a little bit of splatter to this background. So I took my water spritzer and just spritz some water down, let it sit for a minute, and then I'll pick up the excess with a dry cloth or even a paper towel will work. And then I'll set that aside while I work on the background for my shaker, which is going to be this stamped balloon image. So I'm stamping that down onto a white piece of cardstock, and I made sure beforehand that it was going to be centered so I could easily line this up when I'm doing a shaker. So I'm just checking that and making sure I have it right where I want, getting it lined up. So that's what all this back and forth is with the Misty. And then I can go ahead and stamp it. So I decided just to stamp this with black ink, and I'm going to color this with Copic markers, except I'm not coloring the letters. I'm going to color all around them and leave the letters white. You can see with this word art by Love Dani, there's so many different ways that you can color these and really customize it. And I thought I was doing something different this time than I've ever done by coloring the white space and leaving the letters alone, and it was really fun to do. I still find coloring to be very relaxing, you know, unlike fussy cutting. That's not as relaxing to me. But I still do it. But the coloring is just fun. And when you're doing some ink blending with Copic markers, it's just relaxing to me. I do find that I like to go over this a second time to really soften out that blend. And for my darkest color, I'm using that only on the edge of the card as kind of a highlight to draw your eye in towards the center, and then keeping my lighter tones in the center. So you can see I'm only using 2 different markers per color, and it's really actually easy, except for the part where you try not to color on the letter. But I have a fix for that too. A little gel pen goes a long way. So well, most of the markers I have up on the screen. I see my cap fell over when I'm coloring with this one, but it just really pulling out markers that you like, that you have. That's what I do. I don't have any like, oh, go-tos. I just like, what am I feeling that day? Do I want my rainbow to be a little bit brighter or a little bit more pastel? And what I really tried to do was just find colors that were going to coordinate well with my ink blended background. So that's what I did. And most of the markers, you can see they're on the screen. If you're like, oh gosh, what is that turquoise? I have to have it. You can pause it and see that color. So here we have BG02. I felt this was a really good turquoise for my background, and my rainbow does not have purple this time. Sometimes that's hard for me to have a rainbow card without purple, but I really love the way this turned out. So I'll color this all the way to the bottom of the balloon and then add my darker color on the outline. And I do actually go back and fill in the middle of the R in case you were worried about that. I did miss that, but I went back and filled it in. So here's what the balloon looks like with 1 layer done. And like I said, I do like to go back and do a second layer on a lot of things. So it's a little brighter, a little more blended with the second layer. And there you can see what it looks like with the second layer. And the magic of the white gel pen to go in and correct any little ink smudges that might have got over the line on the letter. All right, we're back with that frame. I'm adding a window sheet to the back of it, glued it in place, and then I am taking some white glitter paper and die cutting out the word thrilled. I did back it with the rip and stick sheet again so that it would turn them into stickers, and that'll come into play in just a minute, but I'm going to go ahead and build out my shaker. So you can see I've got foam tape all the way around my window. It's touching edge to edge, and I even filled in the corners. So it's such a big shaker. I didn't want any of the shaker bits like settling in the corners. It makes it seem like there's not enough shaker bits in there. So then I added some clear sequin mix and clear seed beads for my shaker. There's so much color going on with this. I felt like if I would have put colored shaker bits in there, it would just be like overwhelming. So I went with clear, and I'm really glad I did. I love the shiny effect that it has. Plus, when you use seed beads or micro beads, they add a really cool sound effect, and they keep things moving around in there because they're round. So I love to add those to almost any shaker. So there it is, my shaker. We are going to add to this, of course, bring it to life a little bit with some other stamped images. So first I'm adding this to my background, or my card base, which is a 5x7 card. So it started out as a 10" by 7" piece of paper, and then I scored it at 5 inches to create my card base. So there you have it, and now you can see I'm adding on those glittered letters. I'm sticking this right on top of the window sheet. So when you shake this, the shaker bits are going to go over all of the words, but under the word thrilled. So it makes me thrilled. I love it. Okay, so in this stamp set, there's a lot of like confetti pieces, some dots, and some stars. So I'm going to stamp out some of those. And what I'm doing is taking colored cardstock, clear ink, and clear powder, and embossing them. When you do this, it's going to give you a darker, shinier image than the paper. So it's a really fun effect. And then I'm going to die cut these out so they'll have an edge around them, a border around them that's a little bit lighter color. I did this with all the colors of the rainbow, you know, up to my turquoise color. And then these are going to be the accessories, the embellishments for this card. So there you can see what all of those 6 pieces I stamped look like. Then I just set to arranging them on my card, and once I had them where I liked them, then I brought in my pickup tool and my glue and glued them into place. And that was really easy to do. Arrange them first, glue them on second, and I left room at the bottom for a sub-sentiment, which is that sentiment that says it's time to celebrate. I'm also going to do the little, you know, balloon bow string. It's a string. That's what it is. I did those just in black, and then I set to gluing everything in place, and it just brings the whole background to life. Plus I have that little touch of splatter in the background that makes it feel like there's confetti pieces like far away. It gives it a lot of depth. So that's why I love doing that, and it also brightens up the cardstock. Once you see these 2 cards that I made side by side, you'll notice that the same ink blending looks different on each card because this one was spritzed with water and the shape card was not. You'll see what I mean. You can see the difference that it makes. So there I am adding my final sentiment, but we cannot leave out the inside. I'm taking that same exact happy birthday, but I'm just going to stamp this with my Salty Ocean ink, and that's going to give a nice stamped sentiment for the inside. No need to do anything else. It's beautiful just on its own, but then of course it is super fun to color. So there we have it. Happy birthday on the inside. This card, oh, I love it. This would be the kind of birthday card I would be thrilled to receive. So there is card number 2. Loving it. Okay, so now let's bring in the other card. Can you see the difference? How the shaker card's a little bit brighter from the oxidized ink? Yeah. I love it. Okay, also I did make another card with this set. I thought I would take a minute to show it to you, where I colored the background and the letters. I added some holographic paper for the word thrilled, and all those stars and confetti pieces, I just die cut them. I didn't even use the stamps. So you can use those dies by themselves without stamping the images, which is, you know, nice and versatile. You get a lot more use out of your stamps and dies that way. So there are my cards for today's video. I hope that you're inspired to try making one background and turning it into 2 cards, especially if one's a shaker. If you love shaker cards, you should go check out my Facebook group. It's called Shaker Card Addicts. I'll link it for you below. It's a fun place to share your shaker card creations, and I would love to see you there. Also, let me know if you have a favorite card from this video because I love chatting with you in the comments below. I'll be back again very soon with another paper crafting video, so if you're new here, feel free to subscribe. If you're interested in any of the products I used, I do have those for you down there as well. And I'll see you all again very soon with a new video. Happy stamping! Bye!